And now you're going to die. Hello everyone, Connor Whitmore here again with another video for you on the Nawtystep channel. And in today's video, I'm going to be giving you my top 10 favourite Knife Party tracks of all time. This is the fourth in this series where I'm covering my top 5s or 10s from producers, labels, certain genres, all of which is completely subjective and not definitive, a reflection solely on my personal taste and experience of the music in question. And here I'm going to go over my all-time picks from one of modern bass music's most iconic duos, Swire and Gareth McGrillen, Knife Party. Producers of one album, 5 EPs, a wealth of mind-blowing singles and remixes within and beyond that, my favourite 10 of which I will be listing here. I've been waiting to do this one for a while, you know, probably my favourite bass music act ever. In this list we have tracks that Knife Party have their name on and that have had an official release only. So originals, remixes, collaborations, nothing that they've produced for other people or anything unreleased. Just before we get started, past top 10s if you want to check them out, I'll link just here. But yeah, my top 10 Knife Party tracks of all time. Let's go. And coming in at number 10, we have a track that shows the duo in a different light to what we know them most for, in my opinion at least, and that song is Begin Again. Never did I think I'd say something this uplifting, light and hopeful would be one of my favourite Knife Party songs ever, but it is. It's 100% in my top 10. The way this song blooms, revealing more and more of itself over time, is complete bliss and extremely powerful. The blend between instrumental and vocal is pretty much perfect, so genuine and pure, and something that I think Knife Party was crying out for, a full vocal from Rob, and this is pretty bang on the money. It's just such a joyous song, and it reminds you of everything good and honest about the world. If you're one for kind of appreciating the music beyond the music itself, that's definitely how I read into it. That is the feeling that it inspires in me whenever I hear it. Constructed with such care, a true emotional journey, and that's definitely what I love it for most. After that, number 9, we have the first remix on the list, and one that I get as much out of now as I did when I originally got into it in around 2011 or so, and that is the remix of Unison by Porter Robinson. In terms of respecting an original and flipping it properly, this remix is incredibly spot on, particularly in the introduction and midsection. It's up there with the best I've heard, no question at all. If you do know the melody from the original, the way they change it musically in this remix is actual perfection. Those final 7 notes just completely flip the whole idea and concept of that melody on its head. It's incredible. The note choice is just completely off the chart, so mad, and from that moment I fell in love with Knife Party. Oh, so good. Honestly, if that musicality doesn't get to you, then I'm really not sure what will. The only thing not putting it higher here is that some of the heaviness does drag a little bit, but almost entirely so good, and undoubtedly time-stopping edit really is stunning. Next up at number 8, we have a track that I hold incredibly close to my heart, one that created some incredible memories for yours truly as a late teenager, and that song is LRAD. For me, this is potentially Knife Party in their most momentous form. A song of real purpose, energy, a sense of rebellion to it as well, I think. And it stands out within their discography, in my opinion, which really is saying something. The introduction really gets you in the mood, kind of provides the image of the sun coming up over the horizon in its muffled sort of delivery. Always loved that, always will. The builds are huge, the drops are captivating. The second one in particular, I think it's quite underrated. I do prefer the first one, however, I do think as a change-up, considering they felt they had to change it to provide a bit of variety in the track, I think it was quite clever, and yeah, very underrated in my opinion. Just everything in this song has a sense of the iconic about it. I clearly remember a lot of my friends at school not really enjoying heavy electronic music at all. There were just a couple that did, and yeah, most of them didn't at all. And then I showed them this song, and they absolutely loved it. We all went to a festival called Outlook in Croatia in 2013, and that got played a few times when we went there, and everyone, every time we heard it in those different sets, just went absolutely mad. But beyond my personal enjoyment of it, I mean, of course, there are other producers out there that made songs like this in this big room house approach. Thinking of songs like Epic by Quintino and Sandro Silva, for example. But are there any quite like LRAD out there? I don't think so, not quite. Again, so well put together and very unique. Following on from there, number 7, we have a track that is, in my eyes, up there with the most thrilling that Knife Party have put together. The standout banger, in my opinion, from the Abandoned Ship LP, and that's 404. Thriller, of course, being a description that you could use for a wide array of tracks that Knife Party have produced over the years, but I feel it's particularly appropriate for this one. It really, really takes you on a ride. From the opening vocal sample to the helter-skelter introduction, the booming quick-paced drops, malfunctioning midsection, it just constantly keeps you guessing. Riveting stuff. The conjoining of sounds here I find so incredible all round, most notably in the drops I find, with that pinprick percussion underneath the really heavy electro stabs. Just so good. The dynamic between everything is fantastic in the heaviest parts of it. Just going to play a little snippet for those that may have forgotten what it sounds like. Oh my days, it's just so decent. A whirlwind of moods and emotions, and one of the most emphatic tunes they've ever put out, in my opinion. It just completely unleashes itself at you, and on you, if you will. An ambitious idea, and I think they executed it expertly. Then at number 6, we have one of their undoubted biggest hits, no question. One that I would have to say I think I've enjoyed less over time, but still love at its core, especially considering the effect and impact it had on me in my first few years of listening to it, and that's Hive. I remember hearing this song for the first time and just being completely rooted in my seat, unsure of what was happening to me, why I couldn't move. The music just left such an impression on me. It was beyond explanation, really. The dubstep had a purpose and kinda genuine evil to it that I'm not sure I had heard before up to that point. And the midsection, again with that expert musicality, they're just so good at that. It completely froze me. I was rooted, as I said, in my seat. Just like the music completely taking over me. The chills were running up my spine, but it was so heavy at the same time, and that contrast just completely took over me. It was another plane of happiness that I was experiencing, and my mind exploded. The images it conjures up of going to battle, losing, regathering the troops, and then fighting back with force again, it's just so empowering, and I love it for that. As I said, I think I enjoy it a little bit less than I originally did. If I was making this list when I first heard all of these songs, it might be at number 1. But yeah, I still do like it a lot and appreciate that it's amazing for sure. At number 5, we have the first that I ever heard of Knife Party. So quite a huge moment in my musical life, I can't lie. And it really was, yeah, God, this was... When I heard this song for the first time, I was just on the floor. A song that completely opened my mind up as to what was possible with music. And it's another remix, and it's their take on Save the World by Swedish House Mafia. You know those moments you have with particular songs, you hear them for the first time and it completely sends you and your brain into another dimension entirely, and that moment kinda stays with you for the rest of your life. Yep, that's what I have with this song. The drops here are so madly wild, creative, fun, off the wall. It was everything that a 17-year-old me could wish for, quite frankly. I could not stop listening to this song over and over. 1, 2, 3, 4! It isn't just the drops though. I mean, the intro and midsection are beautiful and pay respect to the original so well. On that note, the vocal as well is just incorporated so effectively, and it just overall really knows how to set a scene and present the ideas in the best way it can. I think most other appreciators of bass music had heard nothing like this before, and I mean nothing. This was a new level of bass, entering the scene in around 2011 or so, brimming with life from start to finish, and yeah, just an incredible tune. After that, number 4, we have a tune that actually blew me away in a similar way upon hearing it for the first time, although my appreciation of it was different with me being older and with me being a bit more experienced with listening to bass music. And that song is Rage Valley. Again, just gotta start with the drops here, completely mind-rattling, intense, properly evil sounds, but delivered in such a colourful, inviting and playful way. The higher octave change for the second drop is such a slight but effective one, and it takes it to another level of hellish goodness. And the progression to that drop as well, with those little hints of Rob's voice in there, gosh, I find it so moving every time I hear it. It really does almost move me to tears, it's that powerful. On that note, melodically, this song is also superb, front to back, every single section. They knew exactly what direction they wanted to take it in at all moments. It's heartfelt heaviness at its peak. And that's before I even touch on the devilish introduction, the nervy builds, the perfect vocal samples. It's not as iconic as those I'm about to mention, but it does fire on all cylinders, a full-on knockout tune. Taking the bronze medal, we have almost definitely their most renowned tune, the one which put them on the map. Suddenly, there was a new duo in town, and they were rumoured to be two people from the famous bass band Pendulum. And they were suddenly out here making the most devilish electro house music possible. And yeah, that song that epitomised all of that in the earliest stage was Internet Friends. In terms of painting a picture, creating an image, I'm not sure there are many other songs in bass music full stop ever that are quite so accurate as a combination of ideas and sounds. The manic drops perfectly fit the scary opening samples, the tension of the first build. It all works together so well to create this incredible story, and it all unravels in such an enthralling way as well. Also, and I know I've talked about this with a fair few of the tracks already, but the midsection, oh my word, particularly here, is just so underrated. It's incredible. One of the best sections of music they ever wrote, in my opinion. The way it warms the track back up, giving us hope before slamming us back into the depths of hell. It's just so well done. I always wonder when I hear this song just where it came from, you know, how the idea was imagined, how it developed, where they started with it, you know, which one of Rob and Gareth originally came up with that idea. And that is the mark of a truly fantastic tune, when it's almost beyond comprehension just how good it is and how amazing a amalgamation of ideas it is. I would say absolutely nothing less of it. Edging Internet Friends at number 2, just about. We have, for me, Knife Party in their most beastly, epic, monstrous form. A track I had as my favourite for years of theirs, until very recently. And that song, I can hear you all guessing. What's it gonna be? It's Power Glove. The whole concept of this song is great and completely unique, I feel. It just inspires an energy and feeling of power in you that I haven't felt with many other songs ever, EDM or not. Similar to Hive for me in a way, in that from the off you feel like you're part of a huge battalion charging forward, embracing the fight, and ready to annihilate anything that comes in your way or gets in the way. Although the difference here being that it's much quicker, the heart pumping and racing much more. Sets the scene so well, gives you that mighty feeling, such an astute conjoining of sounds to paint that picture across every single section and aspect of the track overall. Some of the ideas and snippets here are some of the best I've ever heard, not just electronic music, but music at large. In the drops in particular, the bellows, growls, screeches, all the twists and turns it goes through, it's so fucking good! You get epic, wide-reaching bass music that doesn't quite have the execution to match, but Power Glove really does, making it a near perfect tune. One that I loved from my first listen and can imagine I will forever and ever till the day I die. Just before I reveal my number one Knife Party track of all time, I'm going to go over some special mentions that I love from them, but which aren't quite for me top 10 material. Antidote with Swedish House Mafia, a really good tune, a great mix of styles and effective ideas, a top vocal, just not completely next level compared to others in the Knife Party discography. Also important here to differentiate between the extended version, which I much prefer to the shortened limited radio one. Centipede, I mean, there are a few songs where I feel the music so accurately represents the title of it. It's a shame that I feel by this point I've listened to it a few too many times and have got bored of the drops, but overall, really great tune. Bonfire, I think over time I've found the main drop idea quite ordinary and that there's not enough variation on the heaviness over the course of the song, but everything else is completely iconic. Sleaze, for what it is, I think a very good song, and I'm so happy that they released a Mumba track in the end, considering that Zoology with Skrillex never saw the light of day. So well made, and I love the vocal from Mr. Jam. Just in its nature, the setup and structure of the track in itself just isn't as knockout as others I've mentioned in the top 10. Tourniquet, melodically one of my favourite tunes from them ever. I love the mix of emotions that we get from start to finish here. Musically on point, it just doesn't for me have that proper star quality that we get in those, again, that I've mentioned in the top 10. EDM Death Machine, I think bottom line, this song is a fantastic idea. Very funny, witty, clever. Yeah, and it's what they're about in many respects, I'd have to say. Kind of unleashing the satire of Knife Party, if you will. Again, we have a track here where the midsection is lovely. Just the drops I've never been that big on at all. Resistance, an absolute certified banger, there is no denying that, and a great way to start the Abandoned Ship album after the intro that comes just before it, but doesn't have quite the emotional reach of their best tunes, I would say. Devil's in My Heart, or DIMH, as it is stylized in the track listing of the Abandoned Ship album. One of their most outright euphoric cuts, in my opinion. A very hands in the air, Ibiza feel to it. I love the arrangement and the kind of simple approach that this song takes on. Needed a little bit more spice to be truly class, but it is a really nice song. Can't lie. Kaleidoscope, for me, their most underrated tune bar none. The drama of the musicality, the depth of sound, the richness of it is just so good. It's not incredible in itself as a kind of standalone track, but a brilliant way to end the Abandoned Ship album and has a kind of class to it that I'm not sure many other tunes I've mentioned here do. And finally, we have Harpoon with Pegboard Nerds. This one is purely for the introduction, one of the best I've ever heard as a combination of instrumental and vocal. Rob's vocal, I hasten to add. It's exhilarating stuff, and yeah, completely thrilling. And I have to say, it is a real shame about the rest of it, considering how well the introduction does set the rest of it up. But at number one, my favourite Knife Party track ever. I can imagine by this point, considering the tunes that I've reeled off already, you're wondering what it is, but there is one song that strikes me as notably more complete than any other that Swire and McGrillen have ever done or put out as a duo, and it's a remix you might be surprised to hear. And it's their take on Last Time by Labyrinth. It feels weird perhaps to have a remix at number one, but this song is just so fantastic from literally first second to the last that I can't put it in any other position. You know, I said earlier about Power Glove how that was my number one Knife Party tune for a long time, and until recently that very much was the case, but last couple of months I have been listening to this remix again and again, and I've just realised that I can't put it in any other position. I can't, like, this is my favourite Knife Party tune. There's no beating around the bush. It's truly outstanding. They make this song completely their own whilst using the original in the perfect way, which I think says everything for how good it is. There is nothing that I would change about it. Everything, you know, first of all, the most amazing drops, ingenious, clever, scintillating, wacky. I've never heard anything like it, and again, I vividly remember hearing it for the first time, being completely taken aback. And also, I doubt I ever will hear anything like it again. But then also the musical side of it, so vibrant throughout, so much flavour and feeling etched into it, and so lively and exuberant from start to finish. The vocal as well, in all its different forms, is always matched perfectly by the instrumental. The first part of the build is particularly special. Let me just play it here. Oh my, oh, I can't. But all round, the attention to detail to deliver this remix exactly how they wanted, I think for me it's unparalleled across their discography. Everything about it means that whenever it comes on, I can't skip it. I just can't. Few songs I would call 10 out of 10, ones where I literally don't see how they can be improved, but this has to be one of them for me. So well done in every sense, and I don't know if I will ever hear a better edit, straight up. But there we have it, guys, my top 10 Knife Party tracks of all time. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. But what's your favourite Knife Party tracks of all time? Do you have a top 5 or a top 10? Do you agree or disagree with most or anything I said here in this video? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to give it a big old thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell along the way so you can be notified whenever I upload a new video to the channel. And my social media accounts are linked in the description box down below. For some other top 5 or 10 videos on the channel, check out the link next to my head somewhere. And lastly, if it's naughty, then you know, guys, so be sure, as always, to keep it naughty and stay safe. And I shall see all of you legends in the next one. Peace out.